Okay, let's go back to the Balrog for just a second, because that's a surprise. Okay, obviously we know Durin's Bane. Are there things for your storytelling that have implied depth into the Second Age that actually have events in the Third Age that you move into the Second Age?
So back to our producer Lindsay. If
Lindsay, you want to grab this?
Well, I was just gonna say.
He's midstream. Go on.
The Second Age is so enormously vast and huge that I don't think there's much room for anything from the Third Age.
So it starts off with Durin's Bane before Durin's Bane happens thousands of years later. So there's two Durin's Bane? Makes absolutely no sense. And I do wonder, how much did Amazon pay for this? It's been commented before that they had to license out the use of this design for the Balrog, and I wonder how much this was to tell Third Age events in the Second Age. How much did they have to spend for this? And if you're unaware, the showrunners, Payne and McKay, in a San Diego Comic-Con for season 1, they were expressly asked by Stephen Colbert. They previewed the trailer, and when he saw the Balrog, he was very taken aback. So he asked specifically, do y'all have license, or do you have the ability, are you going to take Third Age events and bring them into the Second Age? And they expressly stated, oh, there's so much that happens in the Second Age. We just don't have room or time to do that. When this season has literally been almost nothing but Third Age elements and storylines brought into the Second Age story. Like half of it has been. And the audacity to just boldface lie like that's something. They were specifically asked about Durin's Bane. The Balrog has been teased for 2 straight seasons. And I thought maybe, they're just going to continue to tease it and string it along. I had the suspicion they were going to do it because they're that creatively bankrupt, but they did it in the end of season 2, which they were winking at the entire season with the dwarves. You literally have Sauron go to Khazad-dûm for basically no reason. He doesn't need the mithril, but he goes there. And it seems that it's just so they could wink again at the Balrog. Sauron looks at a brazier when I guess the deal doesn't go through or whatever with getting mithril from them. And he looks at the brazier next to him, and there's this little Balrog coming out of the flame of it. And it's just, come on. There was literally no other reason for that scene to take place because Sauron just ended up using his own blood and as an illusion for Celebrimbor to use, thinking it was mithril. So what was the point of him traveling all the way to Khazad-dûm? Couldn't he have just said that he went and not gone if he was just going to use it as an illusion anyways? There are so many things that are just so unnecessary and either feel like it's just for promotion, or the writers and showrunners just don't think things through enough. So this is possibly the most unintentionally funny screenshot from this show. I mean, the Balrog looks cool. It's a wonderful design. Truly, it's not original to the series, but the fact that the Balrog was awake this whole time since season 1, and throughout season 2, he's stirring and they're aware of it, and to have King Durin just go off his rocker, mostly off screen, by the way. He's attacked his own people, but we don't see any of that. We don't see him actually go crazy and attack his people. We're told that happens, and he's digging deep and too greedily, and he finds the mithril vein and wakes up the Balrog. So Durin's Bane that they decided to repurpose is simply King Durin himself solely waking up the Balrog because he wants to get to the mithril vein. And they even do the thing where the Balrog takes his whip and the whip catches King Durin's foot and he loses balance. It is the exact same scene, but instead of the Balrog facing a full-on Maiar, it's just a dwarf. It's a dwarf, and right before this scene where he goes toe-to-toe with the Balrog, he takes off his dwarven ring of power. He takes off his special ring that did give him super strength, by the way. He just leaves it in the cave, I think, for Prince Durin to get. Either way, he takes off his ring, so he has no extra abilities or anything. And he just full on jumps at the Balrog and was successful in trapping him down there again. This scene just looks so silly, and I keep laughing at it every time. It's just a regular dwarf against a Balrog of Morgoth. This is what Durin's Bane is before Durin's Bane actually is supposed to occur. And it's just so funny. So this takes place within like the first few minutes of the episode. And you're like, well, where do we go from here with the dwarves? This is a pretty major event. So he's successful in trapping the Balrog. No one mentions it again. So we cut to the dwarves, we cut to Prince Durin and Disa, and no one is talking about what just happened. No one's talking about the fact that they're living on top of this terrifying creature. They're just dealing with the aftermath of King Durin's fall. Okay, well, who's gonna rule after him? Because all of a sudden, Prince Durin's brother, I don't even think they name him, but they say your brother just called and he has a claim to the throne or whatever. Like, really, that's the discussion. We're not going to talk about the fact that there's a Balrog, that we're living on top of this horrifying creature. And the conversation is, well, who's going to rule next? It's so ridiculous. And you'd think, well, canonically, it should be a Durin who would rule. You think that that wouldn't be an issue of who's going to rule next, but no, it seems so tacked on and superficial about what they're going to do next in the storyline. It's like, do y'all just not realize what just happened? I think you should be talking about leaving, about a giant exodus for the safety of your people. You're just going to be content to live there now? I mean, you have to live there because I don't know if we're going to fit in any way of the timeline of future events. This creates so many plot holes and problematic issues in regards to the future of Tolkien's canon and timeline and history of events. This now makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't make any sense why they weren't able to, I guess, profit off of the mithril that they just found and reach that status and prominence, prosperity. No, that's all trapped, and it's trapped with a Balrog that they now know full well is down there, and they've seen the danger. I think there were multiple witnesses besides Prince Durin, and everyone's just talking about, well, who has this claim to the throne now? It's like, what? So silly. I honestly don't know what they were thinking with this. There is 2 Durins alive at the same time, so why not 2 Durin's Bane? It's laughable, honestly. This, you can't help but laugh at it. How are we gonna have 2 Durin's Bane? It's so crazy. This is one thing that made me wonder if there actually is going to be a season 3, because for me personally, I would have thought that they would have continued teasing Durin's Bane for like something, an event that would have happened later in the show. I didn't think they were above putting Durin's Bane in here in the Second Age time period, but I thought that that would have been the huge event for the dwarves to face for something later on in the story, because initially, like, first of all, you have to like deal with the issue of the rings, the dwarven rings of power, which we've only seen King Durin use, and we haven't seen like the broader influence of the dwarven culture when it comes to the rings. So that seems like that should have been the priority, but it really feels again rushed and tacked on. So I do wonder if like some of these storylines they're trying to wrap up with the knowledge of maybe we're not going to get a season 3, which hasn't been officially green-lighted yet. They're making moves for early development, but there's been no official green light from Amazon yet. Some of these storylines do feel like this could actually serve as a series finale, and I think that would be fine. I think most people would accept it. And this is one of them. This is, okay, well, what's left for the dwarves? You just tack on a silly little storyline about a brother now wanting claim to the throne. It feels so superficially thrown in there, kind of like how the elven rings were made at the finale of season 1. It feels like that, just thrown in there. Oh, well, let's just try to wrap this up real quick.